The moment your tomatoes start wilting at noon, even though you watered them that morning, something shifts. You stop looking at your garden the way you used to. It starts to feel like you're losing a battle you didn't even know you'd entered. The plants aren't dying from neglect. You're out there every day. They're suffering because the ground beneath them has turned into something closer to a slow cooker than a garden bed. And until you deal with what's happening under the surface, all the watering and care in the world will only get you so far. That's what this video is about. Not just surviving a brutal summer, but protecting your soil from the ground up, so your plants have a fighting chance no matter what the forecast says. If this kind of practical garden knowledge is useful to you, it would mean a lot if you hit subscribe. The Backyard Crops community is built around real-world growing, and every new member makes it stronger. Why soil temperature is the real problem. Before anything else, let's be clear about why hot soil is such a serious threat, because most people focus on air temperature when they should be looking down. Soil has its own thermal world, and the biology happening inside it is highly temperature sensitive. Roots absorb water and nutrients through a process that depends on microbial activity in the soil. When soil temperatures rise above roughly 85 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the root zone, that microbial community starts to shut down. Beneficial bacteria and fungi, the invisible workforce that breaks down organic matter and makes nutrients available to plant roots, begin to die off or go dormant. The result isn't just dry soil, it's nutritionally dead soil. At the same time, high soil temperatures accelerate evaporation at a dramatic rate. Water that would have stayed available to roots for days gets pulled out within hours. Soil structure starts to collapse. Clay soils crack and harden. Sandy soils turn dusty and repellent to water. And once a soil becomes hydrophobic, meaning it literally repels moisture instead of absorbing it, even deep watering events can run straight off the surface without penetrating. There's also the issue of root scorch. When surface soil temperatures exceed around 100 degrees, shallow roots begin to suffer physical damage. Feeder roots, the fine, hair-like roots responsible for most nutrient uptake, are especially vulnerable. Losing those can set a plant back weeks, even if it survives visually. Understanding this is what separates reactive gardening from proactive gardening. You're not just fighting heat, you're protecting a living system. Strategy number 1. Rethink how and when you watering is the first tool most gardeners reach for when things get hot. But how you water matters just as much as how much you put down. The single most common mistake during heat events is frequent shallow watering. Running a sprinkler for 10 minutes every morning feels productive, but it only wets the top inch or two of soil. That moisture evaporates within a few hours, often before it reaches any meaningful root depth. What you're left with is a perpetually dry root zone and a surface crust that actually repels further watering. The better approach is deep and infrequent. Water thoroughly and less often, ideally every 5 to 7 days in moderate heat, adjusting to every 3 to 4 days during extreme conditions. The goal is to saturate the soil to at least 6 inches of depth, ideally deeper for established perennials or fruit trees. At that depth, moisture is protected from surface evaporation and remains accessible to roots longer. Drip irrigation is worth its weight in gold here. By delivering water slowly and directly at soil level, it reduces surface runoff, limits evaporation, and targets moisture where it's actually needed, at the root zone. Even a basic soaker hose setup snaked through your vegetable beds can dramatically improve soil moisture retention over overhead sprinklers. Timing is also everything. Early morning watering, before 8 a.m., gives moisture a chance to absorb before air temperatures start climbing. Evening watering can work, but can encourage fungal issues in humid climates. Midday watering in full sun is largely wasted to evaporation and should be avoided unless a plant is in acute stress. One more technique worth knowing, the pulse method. Rather than running irrigation once for a long session, split it into 2 or 3 shorter sessions, spaced 20 to 30 minutes apart. This gives water time to penetrate between pulses, especially in dense or clay-heavy soils that tend to run off when water hits too fast. Strategy number 2, mulch like you mean it. If there's one intervention that delivers more return per hour of effort than anything else in the summer garden, it's mulch. A proper mulch layer does something remarkable. It acts as a thermal blanket, insulating the soil from the radiant heat beating down on it all day. Studies from university extension programs consistently show that a 2 to 4 inch layer of organic mulch can reduce soil temperatures by 10 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit compared to bare soil. In a heat wave, where surface soil might hit 110 to 120 degrees uncovered, that difference is the line between struggling and thriving. Organic mulch options include straw, shredded bark, wood chips, compost, leaf mold, and even grass clippings. Each has its strengths. Straw is lightweight, cheap, and easy to spread, excellent for vegetable beds. Wood chips from an arborist are free in many areas and ideal for perennial borders and pathways. Leaf mold breaks down quickly and feeds soil biology. Compost serves double duty as mulch and soil amendment. Apply mulch generously. 2 to 4 inches is the practical minimum. Less than that, and you lose most of the temperature benefit. More than 4 to 6 inches can sometimes interfere with water penetration or create habitat for pests, so there's a sensible upper limit too. Pull mulch back slightly from the base of plant stems and trunks. Direct contact can trap moisture against stems and encourage rot. A small gap, just 2 to 3 inches, around each plant is enough. One often overlooked benefit of mulch: weed suppression. Weeds aren't just cosmetically annoying. They compete aggressively for soil moisture. In a dry summer, every weed you eliminate is water saved for your vegetables. If you found that useful, a quick thumbs up helps the channel grow more than you'd think. It takes 2 seconds and genuinely makes a difference. Strategy number 3, stop disturbing the soil mid-season. This one catches people off guard because tilling and cultivating feel like productive activities. But in summer heat, working your soil can cause real harm. Soil is layered. The surface layer, often just the top inch or two, acts as a natural evaporation barrier. When you till, you break that barrier open and expose moist, cooler soil to direct sun and hot air. The result is rapid moisture loss that can take days to recover from. Beyond moisture loss, tilling destroys fungal networks. Mycorrhizal fungi, the thread-like organisms that colonize plant roots and extend their reach into surrounding soil, are fragile. They're built gradually over growing seasons. A midsummer tilling session can set back those networks significantly, reducing the plant's ability to source water and nutrients precisely when it needs them most. If you need to address weeds mid-season, use a stirrup hoe or hand pull rather than mechanically cultivating. These tools disturb only the surface inch or less, leaving deeper soil and root zones intact. No-dig gardening principles apply here year-round, but they're especially important during peak heat. Adding amendments to the soil surface and allowing them to work downward naturally, rather than digging them in, keeps the soil profile intact and the moisture-regulating surface layer undisturbed. If you have bare patches of soil with no plants growing in them, cover them. Bare soil in summer is essentially an open invitation to rapid moisture loss, crust formation, and weed colonization. Lay down mulch, plant a quick-growing ground cover, or even lay down cardboard temporarily. Anything that gives that soil surface a layer of protection. Strategy number 4. Use shade as a soil management tool. Most gardeners think about shade as something that protects plant leaves, and it does. But shade is just as powerful as a soil management tool, possibly more so. Direct sun on bare or mulched soil drives surface temperature up dramatically. Shaded soil, even in the same air temperature, stays measurably cooler throughout the day. If you can interrupt that direct solar exposure, you change the entire thermal dynamic of your garden. Shade cloth is one of the most accessible tools for this. A 30 to 50% shade cloth, the kind sold in rolls at most garden supply stores, suspended over a raised bed or vegetable plot, can drop soil and air temperature in that microclimate by 10 to 15 degrees. Lightweight PVC conduit makes cheap, easy hoops to support it. The structure can go up in an afternoon and pay dividends through the hottest weeks of the year. Companion planting is another underused strategy here. Tall crops, corn, sunflowers, trellised pole beans, climbing squash, create biological shade structure. Planted on the south or west side of shorter, heat-sensitive crops, they intercept afternoon sun, reduce wind, and lower ambient temperature around the bed. This is what traditional polyculture gardens have done for centuries, and it works. For longer-term solutions, consider the role of woody plants. Hedges, small trees, and large shrubs positioned strategically on the western perimeter of garden beds dramatically reduce afternoon heat exposure. Even a single established fruit tree can create a cooler microclimate extending 15 to 20 feet in all directions. Trellises covered with vigorous vines, whether edible like cucumbers and pole beans or ornamental like climbing nasturtium, create vertical shade structures that lower soil temperature beneath while also increasing productive growing space. Strategy number 5. Address the hardscape around your garden. This is the strategy most gardeners never think about, but it can make a significant difference. Concrete, asphalt, brick, and large stone surfaces absorb enormous amounts of solar energy during the day and radiate that stored heat outward in all directions, including into adjacent soil, for hours after the sun goes down. If your vegetable beds are bordered by a concrete path, a brick patio, or a stone retaining wall that faces west or south, those surfaces are actively making your soil hotter, even in the evening when you'd expect temperatures to drop. Replacing concrete paths with gravel or decomposed granite isn't just an aesthetic change. It reduces heat absorption and allows rainwater to percolate down rather than running off. Gravel does retain some heat, but significantly less than solid concrete, and its open structure allows air circulation that dissipates heat faster overnight. Painting or whitewashing retaining walls and raised bedsides with light-colored masonry paint is a simple trick that reflects rather than absorbs solar radiation. Dark-colored raised bed materials, especially dark metal raised beds in full sun, can become radiators of heat that push root zone temperatures well above what's measured in open ground beds. Consider what's immediately adjacent to your garden when troubleshooting heat stress. A bed planted 2 feet from a south-facing brick wall will behave very differently from one in open ground, even in identical weather. Strategy number 6. Build soil that holds moisture. By nature, all the strategies above are more effective when your soil is in good biological condition. Soil that's rich in organic matter retains moisture at 2 to 3 times the rate of depleted, sandy, or heavily compacted soils. Building and maintaining that organic content is a long game, but it pays off every summer. Compost is the foundation. Annual additions of 2 to 3 inches of finished compost worked into the top layer of the bed, or left as a surface mulch, progressively increase the organic matter percentage. For every 1% increase in organic matter, soil can hold approximately 20,000 gallons more water per acre. Scaled to a backyard bed, that's a dramatic difference in how long the soil stays moist between waterings. Cover crops are another powerful long-cycle tool. Planting a fall cover crop after summer vegetables are cleared serves multiple purposes. It prevents erosion during winter rains, adds organic matter when tilled or crimped in spring, and, importantly, keeps soil biologically active through the cooler months, when beneficial microbes can thrive and build their populations. Leaving roots in place at season's end rather than pulling all spent plants is a simple habit with outsized benefits. Root channels improve drainage and aeration. Decomposing root material feeds soil biology, and the root mass of cover crops especially can add significant organic matter several inches below the surface, right where it benefits moisture retention most. Biochar, a form of charcoal made from plant material, is worth mentioning here for gardeners in particularly hot or sandy climates. It's not a quick fix, but incorporated at a rate of roughly 5 to 10% of soil volume, it dramatically improves water retention and provides long-lasting habitat for beneficial soil microbes. None of these strategies is complicated on its own. The power comes from combining them. Deeply watered soil covered with a thick mulch layer, shaded during peak afternoon heat, surrounded by biology-rich soil teeming with active microbial life. That's a system. And systems are resilient in ways that individual tactics are not. Start with mulch if you haven't already. It's the fastest win. Add drip irrigation or switch to deep watering if your current approach involves daily shallow sprinkles. If you have bare soil anywhere, cover it this week. Think about where your hardscape borders your beds and whether there's anything you can do to buffer that heat. And as summer winds down, start planning your soil building work for fall. The gardens that survive brutal summers aren't the ones tended by gardeners who panic and overreact during heat events. They're the ones built thoughtfully during the quiet weeks, the ones with mulch already down, the roots already deep, the soil already alive. Your plants are worth the effort, and so is your time. If this video helped you think differently about what's happening under the surface of your garden, share it with someone who gardens. These are the kinds of fundamentals that change outcomes, and they're worth passing on. And if you want more videos like this, practical, grounded guidance for real backyard growing, subscribe to Backyard Crops. We'd love to have you with us. Until next time, keep growing.